Everyone, welcome to the first inaugural PISTIS Living Lab. I think we can wait just a few other minutes to see, to have all the participants the time to join. And briefly, in 1-2 minutes, we are going to start. So welcome again, everybody. It's time to start. And if other participants are going to join late, that's bad for them. No, I'm joking. But welcome, everybody. This is the first PISTIS Living Lab. I'm very happy that lots of small, medium enterprises and different businesses are joining us today for this event. In these decades, they are marked more and more by the exponential growth, but also more than the growth, also the impact on data on different businesses, regardless their size. This event aims to uncover the potential within data spaces. And to do so, we are going to dive into the innovative solution developed and in the that they are going to be developed by PISTIS and different use cases. To do so, our event is structured into 4 different parts. Firstly, we will have a presentation and overview of PISTIS, its mission, its challenges, of course, related to data spaces, which will be delivered by Sotiri Koussouris, the Managing Director of Suite 5, here with us. And following this, our event will be articulated into other 3 distinctive sections. Each of them will be dedicated to a demonstrator hub in the PISTIS projects, showcasing different real-world application. As you can see from the slides, our journey will begin then with the exploration, with exploring urban innovation, so the Mobilities and Urban Planning Hub, which will be presented by Nikolaos Papagiannopoulos, Senior Project Manager at Athena's International Airport. After that, we will delve inside the PISTIS Energy Sector Demonstration Hub with Pablo with Pablo Martin, sorry for this, who works for the Smart Grid Engineer at Curva Energia. And next, we will move, finally, we will move as last presentation of the use cases. We will move to the innovation and transportation with the PISTIS automotive sector, led by Alexander Stoker, project manager at Virtual Vehicle. Throughout this event, we would like to have an interactive audience. So for this reason, my colleague James will share with you inside the chat a mirror board where all the participants can actually draw and comment and write their thoughts during all the presentation. More than that, of course, feel free to raise your hands and ask questions, raise your concerns to the speaker or your point of view after their presentation. And with this in mind, and hoping that the meeting will be interactive and really important, as the topic is really pressing for all businesses, I'm giving now the floor to Sotiris, hoping that you will enjoy this meeting and you will discover more about data spaces and especially how to exploit them. Thanks.
Okay, thank you, Costanza, for the introduction, and hello, everyone. I will try to share my screen. Just give me a second. As I'm gonna talk about the PISTIS project and a little bit about data spaces, and how data could be used by enterprises that are willing to onboard, to this new era of data platforms, data transactions, and sharing, amongst others. So, first of all, as Constanza said, my name is Sotiris Kousouris, and I'm the managing director of Suite 5. Actually, I'm the technical coordinator of the PISTIS research project that is co-founded by the European Commission. And today, as Constanza said before, we're going to go introducing you to the project and explaining a little bit of what the project does and how the project and its outputs will be utilized in 3 distinctive demonstrator cases, which you will see a bit later. So I'm not going to have a very technical presentation today, because I think that's not the purpose of this event today. But I'm going to talk a little bit more about the data economy and how PISTIS aspires to contribute to that. So what are we offering today? And I'm going to start discussing a little bit about data. As you all know, data technologies are one of the key elements for every enterprise today. Every enterprise that is operating, with digital tools. And over the past years, too many things have happened in this landscape, in this journey. We say the data journey has been a long one, but it's still a long one. So if you look at the bullets that are listed in this slide, you might see things like data management, data lifecycle, open data, big data, and stuff like that. I'm sure you all heard some of these terms, and those are things that have in the past year moved from research into production environments. There are enterprises that are exploiting such technologies, such methodologies, and tools and platforms that are able to serve data and to utilize data to serve business needs at the end of the day. However, as you know, innovation is something that is constantly going on. So new things are coming, new things are invented every day, and therefore we cannot say that whoever is tackling with data has a system that can satisfy all their needs. It might be true at some point. So if you take a snapshot in time, but as time goes by, new things will be necessary. So all enterprises should be knowledgeable and be ready, let's say, to adopt technologies that might satisfy their needs, cover gaps, and actually be in a position to judge what makes sense for them or not. So as we said, data is all over, and I think we can all agree to the motto that data is the new oil. So as oil is used as the fuel, let's say, so for all IC engines, so data is actually what is powering all the systems that we have today. And exactly as we work with oil in the oil industry, data also follows more or less the same process in order to be extracted initially and then be used. So we talk about data extraction. Data exists in many systems. Some of those systems are closed, some are not and are open, but there need to be specific methods and tools and functions and technical infrastructure to get this data out. That's not the end of the journey, of course. When you get the data out, in most of the cases, you need to refine the data. So as a complete analogy to the oil industry, you need to take the data and refine it, improve it, take out what is bad in it, take out mistakes, polluting things and stuff like that, and make a data set that is quite good in terms of quality and could be utilized, because most of the data that is coming, as crude data, is something that is not that useful for everybody. So once data is refined, then there is also the possibility to generate different assets based on this data. So you can have a data set as it is, and you can utilize it like that, but you can also combine data, as it's done also in various industries. You can analyze the data and come up to different, insights or knowledge, and produce, let's say, new data out of it. And this is what you would, at the very end of the day, need. So even if you have a very good data set, then it might be the case that in your industry, or for your case, you need to somehow work on this data set to make it something different, so that you fulfill your needs. And then, of course, when you have your end product, there is the case of trading that. So exactly as in the oil industry, where there are the petrochemical industries that take the oil, utilize it, produce different products, or just need to get the oil down to the consumers. They trade it. So this is something that is also a reality nowadays in the data industry. So we are far from the initial let's say stages where we just had to utilize data for our own causes, and now the game is much more bigger. There is a bigger environment for innovation and for collaboration. So data trading is something essential, and I'm going to talk a little bit about data trading a bit later on how we see it in PISTIS. But what is really important is that today, when you talk about data, you always have to have in your mind that whatever data you have, it is something that could be traded, let's say, as a commodity. So you can just utilize it for yourself, but you can also trade it for a specific price, maybe also for free. That's up to its stakeholder and its business strategy. And finally, when you're done with the trading, exactly as we have again in the oil industry, you need to transport this data to the recipients. So there are different ways and different channels that allow data transfer. And one of the key points that one has to keep in mind is actually security and confidentiality of the data that needs to be transferred. So in principle today, when we're talking about data and we're talking about operations as the one that I've shown before, we're talking about the concept of data spaces and the services that are empowering data spaces, or the services that are inside data spaces. So taking the data space support center definition, that's a European, let's say, support action that is working on core things on data spaces. They define a data space as a distributed system which is defined by a governance framework that allows the secure and trustworthy data transactions between different participants, supporting the trust and data sovereignty. So actually, we're talking about ecosystems of enterprises that belong either to the same sector or have common interests, or they're collaborating. And in this ecosystem, a distributed system is being built that is able to connect all these entities under some very strictly defined rules and allow them to collaborate and operate. And what is out there today and what is happening today is that the data spaces and the different data spaces projects that are being funded also by the European Commission aim to solve a lot of the technical and integration problems. There are many methodologies out there, connectors and things that are of very high technology readiness levels, so very close to production, if not already there. but there are still some, business relevant projects that are to be solved. And some of those, which are problems that the PISTIS project is actually focusing on, have to do with data valuation and data usage, and actually trust in the different trading and sharing mechanism. So things that you might, wonder, like how much is the data that I'm having in my organization, how much is it, worth, and how can I sell it? How will this value be affected, or how is this value changing through time? If I have a contract, who can use it? For how long can he use the data, and how can he use the data? What are the SLAs that I provide him? What are the terms of reference of a contract? How can I safeguard the data that I already have, but at the same time make it discoverable for any other party that wants to, come and see that I have something that might be of value, so he can make me an offer? How I can protect it, and all these questions that are, let's say, relevant to data trading, data monetization, and that are let's say, hindering a little bit the adoption of such technologies, unless they are very well answered, and unless the data owners, so the ones that produce the data and have the data, are actually convinced that what they have is of value, and they can actually control, let's say, how their value can be, can be delivered back to them if they try to, trade and share what they already have. So in this principle, our project, the PISTIS project, aims actually to enable all organizations to generate more value out of their data, and is providing them the tools to break these silos in a trusted and mutually benefiting manner, opening, as we say, new business opportunities by letting stakeholders understand that the data that they have are valuable, what they can do to improve their data, and how they can trade their data in a way that is, let's say, quite fair for everybody and can benefit, the whole ecosystem. So what we are doing is that we're developing a reference federated platform that is working mostly on data sharing, trading, and monetization. Of course, we provide all the essential tools for collecting and improving the data and making them discoverable. But at the very end of the day, our aim is to provide some very concrete answers and methodologies to actually resolve this very demanding point that has to do with how monetization can be seen with data assets. We are working in 4 different axes of innovation. The first has to do with actually federated data management, interoperability, and governance. So it's more on the first stages of the process for collecting the data and for managing the data, making them interoperable, making them discoverable, assessing their quality, and providing instruction of how this quality can be improved, and also by checking whether the data that organizations have comply with certain regulations and laws, like the GDPR, in order to verify and validate that those are compliant to the national or EU laws and can be, placed for trading. The second axis is working on data valuation and monetization. So there we try to provide methodologies and tools that will help somebody understand the value of their data, and actually offer their data over the platform in different manners, like subscriptions, like one-off purchases. But we also, try to bring into the story new things like equity on data or data NFTs in order to, just give out ownership to some data set and so on. The third axis is on security and contract compliance. So how we can be sure and guarantee that transactions are happening the way they need to be made, and actually how data is transferred between the different parties that have agreed to and have signed a contract, and also how the data is being used based on the terms that are defined in the contract. And the final axis, which actually is something horizontal, but in this slide it was not, it was not easy to put like that, has to do with data sharing, skills cultivation. So we're not working only on the technological, let's say, dimensions of data sharing and trading, but we also want to educate stakeholders coming from the industry, from SMEs, and so on, in order to understand core principles of this journey, what it means to improve the data, to excavate data, what it means to evaluate data, define data value, and so on. And this will be done by actually developing the necessary training materials, and also by launching a MOOC, a massive online open course system that will push information and will try to educate in the format of some classes different stakeholders on different skills. So we're not going to talk only about technological things, but we're also going to talk, for example, for market relevant things for data trading and data valuation. All this, what we're building, will be actually demonstrated in three so-called data economy hubs. Those are the presentation that you will see a bit later. We have three different hubs, one on mobility and urban planning, which is led by Athens International Airport. The other is on the energy sector, which is led by Cuerva. And the third is on the automotive sector, which is led by virtual vehicles. So my colleagues will later talk about their demonstrators and how they see that PISTIS can actually influence and benefit this ecosystem. And as you can see, in each demonstrator, we have different stakeholders, different actors. So the idea is there to bring this PISTIS ecosystem together in such a hub and enable the collaboration of all those players to solve and to solve certain scenarios that do require data sharing, data transactions, and trading, and actually build the crucial mass in order to expand in those sectors our demonstrators in the near future. So finally, some words about the project. You can see our URL in the top of the slide. The project started in January of this year, so we are quite young in terms of a project, because we're going to run for 42 months. There are 31 partners from 11 countries participating there, and we have, as we said, 3 demo hubs and 1 horizontal demonstrator, which will be set up, and we will invite other external participants like SMEs, like you people taking part in this event, for example, to join and try to work with our tools there also. The consortium contains, as you see, different profiles of organizations, ranging from research to technology providers and user, as well as innovation accelerators. And the overall idea of the overall plan of the project is to deliver by summer a first prototype of our platform in order to use it for validation and evaluation. And at that point, I think we are gonna also launch an open exercise so that external stakeholders can come and have a look at the first prototype in order to improve it and understand whether this covers their needs aside of the needs of the organizations participating in the demonstrators. So that's it from my side. It was just a very high level introduction to the PISTIS project and what the project is working on. I didn't want to go into technical details like architecture and stuff like that. If you're interested, of course, you can drop us a line, an email, and we can point you to the open documents we have at the moment to understand a bit more about the technologies and what we're building. But in any case, if you're looking for a full prototype, please bear with us, and this is something that will be available probably just before summer of 2024. I will be happy to get any questions if there are any, or I don't know, Constanza, if you have the questions at the end of the presentations.
Of course, if there are any participants that some question, please feel free to share. I just wanted to add that in addition to sending emails, again, this is a good reminder for people that join a bit later. We created the Miro board. It's linked in the chat. You can also write your talk or questions there if you don't want to unmute yourself, and then we can address them in the end. But if somebody has some question, of course, feel free to ask now. I think it's the beginning. Participants are a bit scared, but thank you very much, Sotiris, for your presentation. I think that now we can, as also you mentioned, we can move to the distinct sections related to the demonstrators hubs, and our journey can begin if it's okay with all the participants, with the urban innovation, so with the PISTIS Mobility and Urban Planning Hub, with Nikolaos Papagiannopoulos, Senior Project Manager at the Athens International Airport.
Hi, good afternoon. Give me a moment to share.
Of course. Thanks for joining.
Thank you for having us. Yes. Okay, we're getting there. And full presentation mode. It works on the other screen, of course. So I think now we're okay, right?
It's perfect.
Okay, so good afternoon. I am going to describe to you as demonstration hub that we have regarding mobility and urban planning for utilizing the PISTIS platform that will be used for the exchange of information and data. And we will show you how important this is for our industry of having a reliable and efficient platform to exchange data. First of all, the participating organizations in this demonstrator hub is the Athens International Airport, it's the ground handling services, it's the bus company of the Athens metropolitan area, and it's the city of Athens IT company. And we also have some specialized partners that provide a lot of data regarding aviation, the OAG and the UBMEN that provides very, very detailed data regarding weather conditions, data that are very important for aviation. And of course, we have some technical partners that are supporting this data exchange either by developing the platform or the sorry, or the exchange of data, or the applications that are needed to utilize and consume the data that will be exchanged through the platform. This is ICCS, Athena, Space, and Ubitech. So that's a very depictive picture of how this platform is, how this demonstrator is utilizing the partners. On the Earth side, it will be use cases regarding the flight turnaround, which is the arrival and departure of the aircraft. The facing one, it's the baggage handling. It's the passenger process. It's the bus company, and also some train and the route to the Athens airport. This is how we create a value chain of the participating partners. The aviation ecosystem is huge. This is and it was probably one of the first ecosystems to be digitalized. Even before the advance of internet, they had some form of telexes that were exchanged in an electronic format. So it's quite advanced, and it's on more than 40 years of history in the data exchange area. Because this is a very huge infographic, I will just name a few, which is the airlines, the airports, the air navigation providers, which is the civil aviation authorities, the manufacturers, the airline suppliers, the sales channels that sell the tickets, which is a very lucrative business. I think it's 1.5 trillion euros. No, 1.5. Yes, it's around in such a huge number. And of course all the industries that are connected to it, like providers of spare parts or travel agencies or other services. So it's a huge environment that has extensive and very advanced needs for data exchange. That's another depiction of how the data exchange between the different tiers of aviation is a graphical depiction. So in the first tier, you have core aviation stakeholders. Second tier is extra aviation stakeholders, and the third tier is aviation stakeholders that are connected to this industry. Just to name a few, it's the airports, airlines for the first tiers, the global distribution services, which are responsible for the reservation systems, some ground handling services, some repair facilities for the aircrafts, and also connected entities like travel agencies, public authorities, or even in the pandemic era, it was health certificates and hospitals and civil protection authorities. So that's to stress how important is the data exchange in our industry, in the aviation industry, and also in the tourism and mobility industry as an extension. So the first use case is about baggage handling management. The efficiency of an airport and the capacity of an airport is highly related to how all the process around the aircraft servicing will be done in a seamless way, without any delays and without any cascading effects. The earlier you detect an issue, you will prevent it from becoming an incident. And every minute counts in our industry. Imagine that during a peak day on the summer period, we will be handling 800 flights and approximately 110 and 115,000 passengers. This is all within one day, 24 hours. So imagine what if anything goes wrong, how much effect will have in our capacity, in our efficiency and delays. And imagine that we are considered a medium-sized airport. There are airports that have, we are 25 million, 26 million size airport. We will be making probably 28 this year, but closing of the year. But there are airports of about 70 or 90 million passengers, which is even more important to have an efficient turnaround. So baggage handling is one of the most important processes, because you have to load the aircrafts in a very tight schedule and unload the aircrafts. There are also security issues involved because there is no possibility that a baggage will travel without the owner within the flight. That's for the security reasons, and therefore we will. It's very important that any abnormality is quickly detected and addressed. So, and this there are several actors that take place, participate in this process, and they need to exchange information really quickly in order to be able to make the flight leave on time. I will not just give you some hints of what are the different data sets that will be transferred. I'm not going to go into detail because we only have 10 minutes and probably I'm in the middle of this period. So some information about bags, some volumes, some irregularities. That's most of the aspects that will be the majority of the information that will be exchanged between the actors. The second use case, there were 5 use cases. It's about the transfer passenger management. Passengers that need to transfer from one flight to another have the propensity that if the first flight is delayed, then the second flight will be delayed, most probably, especially if there's a large number of passengers that have to travel from the one aircraft to the other. So it's very important we early detect this information. We make an optimal allocation of the aircrafts within the terminal so they don't have to travel long distances. And also, in case of an irregularity, we quickly inform the airlines in order to make the decisions on whether they will close the door and leave, the aircraft will leave or wait for the passengers. This has to do with how much the expected delay is or how many passengers are expected to transfer from one flight to another. The passenger process is again one complicated process, has a lot of a lot of timestamps and a lot of points that data are exchanged. So we have to monitor all this, aggregate the data, make correlations, and make informed decisions and communicate this information to all stakeholders: airlines, ground handlers, police, civil aviation authority. There are several actors that need to quickly be informed and try to solve any issues that may arise. That's some more data sets that will be exchanged in this use case. Some of them, just to go, it's the PRM passengers, which is the passengers with reduced mobility. That's a very important part of our operations, immigrations, and a lot of transfer passengers and baggage between aircrafts. The third use case is about the aircraft turnaround process. So I will quickly go to this slide, which gives you a very quick understanding of what is an aircraft turnaround. All these processes are processes that are taking place during the aircraft turnaround. Some of them are catering, cleaning, fueling, cargo loading and unloading, baggage loading and unloading, and passenger. That's only a few. There are about 20 or 30 different processes that take place. Some of them are in a critical path, some are running in parallel, and all of them generate data. And like start of process, progress of the process, and end of the process. And any issues that might arise or any comments that need to be inserted. So all this process create information. The earlier we detect any irregularity or issue, and we address it, like bringing a technician, for example, or bringing an extra staff in case there is a problem with the loading, or that will guarantee the turnaround of the aircraft. And imagine that all these processes take place within 35 to 45 minutes, depending on the flight and the aircraft. So it's a race, and it's a race that takes place in every flight. So imagine that there are 800 flights per day. So imagine what kind of the level of synchronization and orchestration that is needed between all the stakeholders, the equipment, and the personnel. So that's why it is important to have all the required information shared at the same time with all the stakeholders, to have a common situational awareness and be able to perform in an orchestrated manner. Again, some of the data sets that we'll be sharing between stakeholders. And moving away, going to the public transportation, we have also the transportation company of the Attica region, which Athens belongs to. And on the right side, you will see the airport, and the center of Athens is on the middle of the screen. Apart from the passengers, one element that is one actor that is frequently forgotten is the employees. If the employees are not in the airport, the passengers will not be served. So we need to most of the and because of the remote area that the airport is, it's about 30 kilometers from the center of Athens. The public transport is very crucial for the operation of the airport. Therefore, we need to plan and align the itinerary of the bus routes and the train routes with the shifts of that take place within the airport. So there are about 300 different companies that are operating within the airport campus, as we say. Therefore, we need to be able to make sure that all these, there are about 15,000 to 20,000 employees that are working in the airport in the different companies. Therefore, we need to make sure that they are on time on their positions to serve their passengers. That's why this is a very interesting use case. So we align the traffic routes, the flight schedules, and also the schedules of the different of the majority of the employees, the shifts with the different bus services. The fifth use case is the one with the city of Athens. This is mostly to offer the passenger experience that for the airport and also the tourists within the Athens city to be able to identify which are the areas of interest, to have a form of application where they can search and somehow correlate the bus routes and the flight schedules with the areas that they want to visit. So, and which are the most prominent areas to be visited, while at the same time maintaining a safe schedule to reach their flights and to be able to visit the Athens at the same time. So I hope I was on time. This was a race, and I hope this was useful for you. I don't know if you can hear me.
Yes, perfectly. Thank you very much for your presentation. I think there is a message in the chat. No, it is a compliment for your presentation, but it is not a question. Thank you very much. It's always very interesting. We will see if we will receive some comments inside the Miro board. In any case, again, I remember to the speaker, to Herman, to all the participants, to feel free also if you don't want to unmute to write in the chat, and we will raise your question to the speakers accordingly. But in the meantime, since there are no questions, I will give the floor to the second demonstrator hub of today, the energy sector, and I already see the camera on. Please, Pablo, go ahead. Let me know if you can share everything. And thanks again for joining and presenting.
I'm trying to. Okay. Can you see it?
Yes, perfectly.
My screen? Right. So, okay, I'm Pablo Blázquez Martín, a smart grid engineer from Cuerva, and I'm going to give you an overview about the Energy Hub, the 4 different use cases we are working on inside PISTIS, and how is why is important PISTIS in energy and the Energy Hub, the relation with the use cases. So just an overview of the hub, which 5 partners are involved: Cuerva Energía, Bamboo Energy, so NIE, Cartif, and also Ubimet. Who are they and what is the role First, OMIA is the Spanish market operator. Thanks to the project, we can continue to work on the development of the platform, the MIE platform for the flexibility market in the long and in the short term. We'll go on that concept later. And this is important for what I will mention later, that is in Spain, there are no defined flexible markets right now. So this is quite important project and work in order to be prepared when they are defined and useful in Spain. Also, Bamboo is an energy aggregator, which is a crucial role in the energy future because thanks to its platform, the Bamboo platform, that aggregate the aggregation of flexibility service providers can be carried out in order to offer flexibility to the market, the previous OMIA's market. And also Cuerva, that is a Spanish energy company acting as DSO within the project. We have a living lab will serve as the basis for the development of the different use cases. It is really high digital real infrastructure with the capacity to provide real-time data and real data from the electrical grid and the distribution system. Also mention Cardiff as the technology providers in charge of developing the algorithm that detects events and over voltages and so on in Cuerva's grid. And UVMet that will provide all kind of weather data that is quite useful in the forecasting environment in order to set in order to also forecast the events on the grid. So why are these actors involved in the energy hub? And one of the 4 reasons are the use cases of. First one is the increase of the cost and capacity of the grid. So due to the development of new distributed generation, we are seeing that how the grid stability is deteriorating because of the injection of energy and other kinds of consumption, increasing in the consumption and generation, also from, for example, from prosumers with PV in their homes. And therefore, it's necessary to act on those users that are either having distributed generation or maybe this demand response technology. They can modify their energy curve in order to alleviate the grid and also solve those events. So this must be, the base of this is the short-term flexibility markets in order to being able from the DSO to place an order necessity in that market and for the aggregator place the solution there in order to act in the grid. And this products, the automation of these products is the major advantage that we see in PISTIS, and the highly importance of being able to make it these data exchanges through a platform that is fast and secure, because these short-term flexibility markets work in real time, near real time, and it's quite complicated to have real time in the electric grid. So the use of these platforms are quite important for the flexibility markets. As I previously mentioned, there are no flexibility market in Spain, but we are progressing in being ready in defining it. And also the second use case is the investment deferral. Is quite the same situation because it's also based on the long-term flexibility market. So this is more that we can improve the network by making use of flexibility and avoid the deployment of new equipment. So just as an example, if I can predict that for the next year I will have the same problem at the same time in a certain point of the grid, thanks to the flexibility, maybe I can get rid of that problem by varying the consumption of an area. And we avoid the deployment of, for example, new kind of transformers with more power that it's time consuming, it's not very environmental friendly and so on. So maybe with this kind of markets and this kind of technology, we can move those consumptions and get rid of that problem. So it's quite also interesting. So the demo to carry the place to carry out the demo is one really big portion of the grids, Cuerva's grids, as you can see in the right image. It's just an overview of the grid, and also in the left is a schema used in order to just only to show how many data connections and the interaction with the cloud platform and so on that we need to define and carry out when the platform is on live. So then we have two other different scope use cases. One of them is the peer-to-peer trading between users of energy or communities, and also the monetization of data. So for the third one, the peer-to-peer, users are increasing concern about how energy is used, and in this use case, we propose to use peer-to-peer technology in order to get about that concern of the user. So we think we can use the PISTIS platform and the PISTIS technology about the sharing of data, join with new platforms operated by the market operators in order to make able to the user to choose whom to buy or sell energy. So it's quite interesting, and this, we think, with this kind of technology also the user will be more green consumption, more concerned about the energy use, and also the monetization of data. There are many potential users of energy data, and we see just for example, if we can provide through other platforms, through PISTIS, through different kind of business models, we can share our data, our big data, our consumption generation data to other technology providers, service companies, retailers, consultants for consultancy, research groups, university. And the main problem here is how to evaluate those data, which is the price of those data, which are the benefits that I can take from those sell data. So we see PISTIS a really good starting point for the development of these ideas, technologies, and concern. And just to mention the recap of the energy hub main idea, we try to get as close as possible to a future flexible matrix that will be deployed in the real environment to be prepared for that. Also, we think that PISTIS support the need. It's not only define the support of flexibility market, but to make it an easy way to participate for all the new stakeholders, the future stakeholders, or the DSOs, other market operators. We think that speed ups the participation. Also to study the advantages of PISTIS for the peer-to-peer technology, and also taking a first step in the economic valorization of energy data. So that's all from my side. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you very much for your presentation. Again, I don't see any specific questions, so since the timing is a bit short, I will give already the floor to Alexandra. In the meantime, I will see if there is something on the board. But thank you very much. Okay. And Alexandra, let me know if you can share the screen. Perfect. Thanks.
So I hope you can see my screen already.
Yeah. Yes, perfectly. Super quick.
Great, thank you. So welcome to my presentation. I'm Alexander Stocker. I'm with Virtual Vehicle Research Center, and I would like to talk about the third demonstrator hub. That's the automotive sector demonstrator hub. In the hub, we are 4 partners. That's us, Virtual Vehicle. We are a research organization in the virtual vehicle, in the vehicle development, and we have 3 other partners. Caruso. Caruso is operating a data space. Caruso has access to car data and can provide this data, given the consent of the car users, to use cases. Trafficon is a company working in the mobility data domain and working on services. And Ubimed, we have already heard about them. They are in all of the hubs. They are weather data provider. In our hub, we have 2 use cases. We have a use case on driving style and risk assessment, and we have another one on urban analytics. So because I have just a few minutes left, I'll focus on the use case 1, driving style and risk assessment. What's important of both for both use cases is both use cases operate on data. And as we heard from Sotiris, data is the key of the PISTIS project. It's about data sharing and data monetization. And both use cases are powered on the data that is shared via the PISTIS platform. So a use case, driving style and risk assessment. So imagine you are in your car or in a car that you rent. You are on a curvy road, like you can see here on the left image. That was an AI generated image. So you should be careful not to drive on the left side, but on the right side. But on this road, you see there is a hazard in front of you. This is the red marker, but you do not know about the hazard and nobody could warn you. And if you approach the hazard, there could be probably an accident. Imagine you now would have a system that would warn you in advance very early to drive more slowly so you could avoid the hazard. That's what we are looking into, and this is something we are exploring since 2 years and which we are continuing in the PISTIS project. Such a system is powered by data. So to compute a kind of risk about hazards that are on your driving route, that needs a lot of data. This can be different data sources. This can be data from your own car, but also data from other cars that have already approached the risk or that have passed the hazard. The weather, of course, data on hazards, but also data on accident locations. So there's a lot of data that powers such a driving style and risk assessment system. We have a system prototype, which we have in PISTIS, and we extend this prototype with additional data. It's quite, I would say, the high-level concept is quite simple. So it's your car. Your car is sending a geospatial key. This is more or less a polygon with coordinates and a timestamp to the platform. That's here, this kind of platform. We call it a service provider. This platform has access to different data from data provider. It has access to weather data. It has access to data from other cars. So data that is provided by other PISTIS partners, but also data that is provided by external partner. The platform more or less computes a kind of risk with reference to your geo position and sends this information. This is a list of events. For instance, an event could be slippery road or crashed vehicle or whatsoever. This list of events is sent back to your car. And then depending on your local parameters like your driving speed, maybe your attention level, whatever information is available in the car, a risk can be computed and you could be warned or you could not be warned. This is more or less the high-level concept. To make it a bit more clearer, this is a simulator. So maybe if you just quickly look on the right side, it's more or less a road. All these markers that you see here are kind of risk hotspots. Markers located or marked with an X are accident locations. Markers marked with an arrow down are locations where people were braking harshly in the past. Markers with an arrow up were locations where people were accelerating harshly. The marker that is hidden here a little bit is your car. You see here a triangle that's more or less your driving corridor. And there are markers in this driving corridor. And now a risk model could, for instance, a very simple risk model could just quickly count these markers. We call them events. And if there are more than, let's say, 5 markers in the corridor, you could receive a warning. But the risk model could also be a bit more complex and include also the weather. So if the weather condition is bad, it's raining, for instance, and there are slippery road events ahead of you, plus you might be distracted, then the system might warn you. So there is a lot of potential to create such a system. And I would say the capabilities of such a system depend greatly on the data that is available. And that's the link back to the PISTIS platform. We will, via PISTIS, get access to additional data sources, more or less to weather data, plus to data that is collected by other cars that might already know about the hazards and can use this in the system with the more or less result to have a more powerful and better working risk prediction system. Thank you very much. I hope I was able to save a bit of time, and I'm not sure if we have still time for questions, but I think there is one agenda point, and I will give back the screen to my colleagues.
Thank you very much, Alexander. You were perfectly in time. Well, I don't know if somebody has some question, please raise your hands or again, use the board. And in the meantime, we received 2 questions for the previous 2 speakers. I have a question related to the energy demonstrators. So Pablo, if you want, it was asked, what is added value? What is the added value you get from PISTIS that you cannot already have from a current network of contacts for the exchange of data?
Yeah, okay. So we expect another value first from the one part of the project, that is the data treatment. So the project, the PISTIS concept includes some data treatment, valorization, transformation, the possibility to join with other kind of data, for example, for weather data. This is one of the added values. Other of the values is the standardization of some kind of data that will facilitate a lot the communications and the quality, improve the data quality. Also, all the track for the data, the use of the cloud platform for secure data treatment and secure data interchanges. All of that is really complicated to do it in a direct way between the stakeholders, between the partners. I don't know if I answered the question or as I see is in that way.
The question was raised anonymously, but yeah, thank you very much. For me, it was very clear the value added of the project for this. And I have another question, but this question is for Nikos. It was asked, how will PISTIS help you practically to tackle the challenge that you presented? It seems that you already exchanged the data with the various companies related to baggage services buses. So I think that the question is pretty similar. So what is the value added that PISTIS give to you to solve this issue?
The assumption is partially true. It's we have a lot of silos, data silos in our industry. Every partner is having their own data. Probably it's the same nature of data, like flight information, flight updates. But they have they have several versions of truth because they don't confirm the data among them. So you might have a timestamp for an arrival for one partner, which is the airport, and a different one for the ground handler. So this is something we need to align. We need to work as a clock, connected clock maybe. And also at the same time, we don't exchange the data on the frequency or in the time frame that we would like to have. Therefore, we might have exchange of data a day after or the closing of the day, whereas I think the most value of those data will be to be exchanged near real time or near real time. That will bring the most of the value. And also at the same time, at this moment, we don't have the position, the capability to monetize the data the way we wanted to have them monetized. They're we can have a subscription, but this is based on a monthly fee. We could have it, we would like to have it on a data set case or amount of data being transferred, or frequency of those data being requested, or filtering or transformations of the data, which is something that's not possible right now. It's just like a file transfer, which doesn't bring the value we could have and we could earn from monetizing our data. So I think there's the three different aspects: validation of the data between stakeholders, real-time exchange, and monetization of in far more and more complex ways than we do so now.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Again, very clear answer. Thanks. Before moving to the concluding remarks, I just would like to tell everybody that, of course, we will be sharing the slides, and I know that several questions will be raised maybe after. So in case, I will try to be the mean between the speakers and all the questions that may rise after. And with this in mind, I would like to give the floor to Antonio Grasso for our concluding remarks. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Costanza, for organizing this inaugural edition of the PISTIS Living Lab event, and to all the speakers for their contribution. We are very happy of this inaugural event because it clearly shows the added value of the solutions that are being developed within PISTIS to facilitate data sharing and to build on that untapped potential of data spaces in Europe. We believe that this effort is very much needed, because solutions developed, such as the one we saw today in a very concrete environment, in the use cases that were illustrated, are those that are needed to fully enable a European single market of data and to trigger all the potential of the data economy in Europe. And when we talk about that here, we are fully aware that this responds to the political objectives of the European Union that have built an entire European data strategy during this legislative term. And we, as Digital SME, work here in Brussels to bring the voice of digital SMEs close to the European policymakers. And we are in close contact with them to make sure that now that there are the first steps at the legislative level to encourage data sharing and the data economy in Europe, they will be implemented in order to take on board all the innovative potential that is coming from the SME community, from European industry, and from the market as the solutions developed within PISTIS clearly show. To be concrete, we want to make sure that a fundamental piece of legislation, such as the Data Act, that is an opportunity to unlock the access to data to the users of connected devices, will be implemented in a way that basically triggers the potential of innovation in the after-sales market, and enables the development of innovative services based on data. We will do this in those institutions that are being set up through the European Data Strategy, such as the European Data Innovation Board. And we will do this keeping in mind that implementing the Data Act is a fundamental step to enable another fundamental pillar of the European data strategy, which is the building of the common European data spaces. We have seen wonderful use cases of what can be done once that data sharing is enabled in the area of mobility, in transport, and in the area of energy. The strategy on the common European data spaces will indeed go in the same direction. And the European Union is committed to build data spaces, including in those strategic sectors, but going in many others, including, for instance, healthcare. Just in these days, there was an approval of the position of the European Parliament and the Council on the European health data space. This is yet another example of an area where innovation coming from European companies can play a crucial role to build on data sharing and access to data to produce innovation. Now, with this in mind, we will continue to be committed within the PISTIS community to encourage the development of solutions that respond to these political objectives from the market. And we will also continue to keep you updated in terms of political development in the next opportunity. So thank you very much again to all the speakers today. And back to you, the floor, Costanza, and thanks again for organizing this event.
Very much, Antonio. And with all these words, I think that I have nothing else to add on top of this, except for thank you again to you and to all the four speakers to join us today. All the materials will be shared to you in the upcoming days, so feel free to raise questions if you want. We will, of course, reach back to you with all the answer. And thanks again for joining, and thanks again for all the speakers. Have a nice afternoon. Thanks.